everybody. Today's video, we wanted to talk a little bit about some tax pointers and some things to do with taxes. The first thing I want to start out by saying is Jason and I are not tax professionals, so these are just things that have come up since we've been out on the road or have heard from other drivers that have some things with taxes that have happened with them. So we figured we'd jump on, kind of do a video on some of the things just to make people aware that aren't aware of some of the issues with taxes out here on the road.
So the first thing we want to talk about, I want to tell you a little story about, I was talking with a fellow expediter, and he does cargo van for a living, and he recently had his taxes done this year, and he was telling us about it, that he got a little bit of money back this year because of his tax guy, and he was able to deduct the biggest deduction that all truck drivers have is your per diem, and he deducted that this year. And he was telling me about that he didn't get to do it the previous years. There was two years prior that he did not claim his per diem, so he had to pay a lot of taxes those years. And one thing he didn't know, or his tax preparer didn't know, was he can go back and refile those previous 2 years. Some of you might have heard that you have to keep at least 3 years prior of all your receipts and everything, because the IRS can audit you up to 3 years. Well, the same goes in return. If we messed something up on our taxes last year and didn't claim something that we could have, we can have our tax preparer go back and do that for us. Now, the IRS does charge a penalty fee for that. So depending on how much the write-off was, whether it was truck maintenance stuff that you just didn't write off, or had lost the receipt and then you found it, or whatever the case may be, if the penalty is less than the money that you would have wrote off, then it makes sense, you know? I mean, for instance, this fellow expediter, 2 years of per diem that he didn't claim.
And that's a big deduction.
That's a huge deduction.
Especially for us expediters that are out here for months. I mean, we're out here more than we're at home.
Right.
So that per diem is a very big deduction and write-off for you.
And there was 2 years of it. So we had talked about it, and he did not know you could go back 2 years. So I told him about that and to go ask his tax preparer next time he was home. Well, he did that, and he's going to be getting like $14,000 back.
That's a lot back. That's a nice chunk of change
back. That is a big chunk of change. So just imagine if he would have never known about that. And that's $14,000 lost.
Yeah, that's crazy. What was the penalty you said?
It was $900.
Yeah,
$900 to get $14,000 back. So
that's
definitely worth it. You know, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Now, sometimes it might not be worth it. So if it's just a screwdriver you forgot to write off the previous year, you know, that's probably not something you're going to worry about. Penalty would be more than what you would get back. We thought this was a really good thing to share. This guy has been in expediting a couple of years now.
Like 3 years.
If not more, yeah. I don't know exactly how much, but at least 3 years.
And he's in a cargo van. So
that was 2 previous years he was able to go back, you know. So him not knowing that just, you know, kind of gave us the idea we should talk about this and share this with other people, you know. This is the really good, important reason of having a good tax preparer that understands the transportation business, you know. I'm kind of shocked his tax preparer didn't even recommend it to him that they could do that. So, you know, it's a really good piece of information we wanted to share with other people. We figured since he might not have known it, there might be other people out there that might not know about this too.
Yeah, you want to make sure that whatever tax preparer you use knows all the deductions that are available for you to take being out here and living on the road, basically. You know, there's a lot of tax preparers that don't even know that if you have a dog in your truck or in your van or cargo van, you can write off that dog food. You can write off their vet bills. Because
and all the dog care for them, yeah.
It is a guard dog. And a lot of these, I don't want to say smaller tax companies, but there's a lot of the bigger name tax companies like H&R Block, Jackson Hewitt, you know, just those are two that come to the top of my head. And there's nothing wrong with those tax services. I used those for years before we got into this, until I started doing our taxes myself. And then when we got into this, I did not feel comfortable doing them myself because I did not know all of the write-offs that we could take.
We didn't feel comfortable letting those people do our taxes either.
Exactly. You know, but not, I mean, you know, we're not dissing them. We're not saying they're terrible tax people, but you know, you just really want to make sure that the person that you're using knows what you can and can't write off being out here on the road. And it doesn't matter, you know, if you're in a tractor trailer, a straight truck, a cargo van. I mean, even guys that are out here in pickup trucks pulling RVs that are out here on the road transporting RVs, they can write this stuff off too. They have per diem. If you're away from your home,
absolutely,
you can write off per diem. And that's not the only thing. You know, there's a bunch of stuff that you can write off that when you're just at home at a regular job and coming home every evening that you can't write off. So it's really important, like Jason said, to get the right tax preparer.
Another thing we wanted to talk about was reimbursement of tolls. A lot of companies, for instance ours, Panther, and I've heard of some other companies that also reimburse tolls. But the misconception is that if your company reimburses you for the tolls you spent, you can't write those off. Now, there's only one situation where that is true, is if your company is actually paying for your tolls. If they are paying the bill and not claiming that money on your 1099 as income, then you cannot write those off. But as independent contractors, companies are not allowed to pay our tolls for us. They're allowed to reimburse, but not pay for the tolls, because then that changes the tax IRS code of us being independent contractors. So this is something you really want to find out when you get your 1099 from your company. If they reimburse you tolls throughout the year, you want to see if they add that money into your total at the end of the year. If they are adding that into the total at the end of the year as income, you still write that off, because that is not extra money you got. That is just extra money you got throughout the year up front, instead of waiting to the end of the year and completely writing it off. And it's kind of confusing, but think of it like this. Say I did one run for the whole year and I got paid $1,000, and then I got reimbursed $100 for that one run. That would mean at the end of the year my 1099 would say $1,100, but I didn't actually get $1,100 in my bank account. 100 of that went towards tolls. So you're still gonna write that off, because that's not actual money you actually made. It's just extra more money you got paid on top of the original run to cover tolls. I hope that kind of makes sense. I know it's a little confusing, but you need to definitely make sure if they're putting it on your tax, your 1099 as income.
Yeah, and that's really important. I mean, we can pay a lot of tolls out here. I mean, we were just up, we went through New York, and just across the George Washington Bridge for this truck, it was $42 one toll, and that's not including all the other tolls it took us to get up there. I mean, it could cost over $100 in tolls just to go up that way. And gosh, if you're in a tractor trailer, I know it's an outrageous amount. So you know, that's a lot of money that you're paying out that you want to write that off at the end of the year. You don't want to miss out on writing that off. And like Jason said, it is kind of confusing, but you know, you should be, if you're with Panther, for sure, they're putting putting that on your 1099. We can say that with 100% surety. But, you know, if you're with some of the other companies and you're not sure, you know, ask your owner or even call your contractor relations at the company or carrier you're driving for and ask them. They should be able to tell you that information if they are adding that into your 1099, because of course at the end of the year, when you get a 1099, it doesn't break down, oh, we paid you this much in tolls, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's one lump number. So that's really important to know and find out, make sure you're getting that deduction if you need to take it at the end of the year.
So if you're out here and you don't know all of the things you can write off, and believe me, it's a huge list. There are tons of things that you just would not think that you can actually write off that you can. I highly recommend getting on Google and just Googling it. Trucker tax write-offs. What can a trucker write off? You know, whatever you type in, it's going to pull up multiple websites, if you click on picture, it'll pull up multiple pictures of pages of just lists of stuff you can write off. So we highly recommend doing that and really learn, like go through it and learn the things you can write off out here, because there's a lot of little knick-knack things that you can write off, but they add up towards the end of the year, you know. And as business owners, you know, we need to be on top of that. That's money that we're paying taxes on that we shouldn't be, you know. Those are things that we bought for our business to be able to work out here, you know. So definitely do a Google search if you don't know what you're writing off.
One thing I wanted to bring up too, to kind of go back to the per diem issue, and this is something a lot of you may not know. So there are a lot of truckers out here that are solos, but their significant others ride with them. They're not driving, so they're not getting paid as a driver, but if your significant other is riding with you on your vehicle and they are doing any kind of paperwork pertaining to your business, they can also get per diem. It's not the full amount. I think it's like a percentage of it, maybe half of what we get as per diem, but they can get per diem if they have any part in working the business, like I said, doing paperwork, things like that on your vehicle. So that's really important to note too. The last thing I kind of want to talk about, that we were thinking of this a few months back, and somebody was talking about the tax-free weekend, and it gave us an idea in our head, thinking, you know, we should really think about when we're buying stuff out here on the road. I mean, all of us stop at Walmarts, we stop at grocery stores to buy things when we're out on the road. When you're out here and you know you're going to be going to certain areas, look up the tax rates in those states that you're going to, because
not all tax states rates are the same.
Right, exactly.
Some are cheaper than others, and you can save a little bit of money on taxes at the cash register just by, say we're in California today and we're going to Texas and we'll be there in 2 days. Well, I know Texas has a cheaper tax rate. I'll go ahead and wait till I get to Texas to buy that.
Yep.
Or Oklahoma or somewhere cheaper, you know, especially California. I think they got like a 12% tax rate. You don't want to buy nothing out here.
Yeah, there are a few states, like I know for sure Oregon is one of them, but they don't even have a sales tax. So
Vermont, I think, is another one.
Yeah.
Now, Expediters, we don't go to Vermont very often.
You got it. Of course, those are two states that we don't really frequent that often. Yeah. But you know, even if it's there's sometimes a big difference in the sales tax. Like he said, California's probably 12 something versus in Texas it's 8.25. So you know, that could save you some money at a Walmart and things like that. So just a tip that we thought of to share.
Especially if you're an owner-operator, you know. If you need to buy a set of tires for your truck, you know, look for a state that has a cheaper sales tax. Get a run going to that state and then buy some tires, you know.
I mean, it may seem like a little bit.
It's a little bit,
but that little bit here and there adds up.
It adds up to quite a bit. It does.
And who doesn't want to save money, you know?
Right.
We've always said that. So anyway, those are just a few little tips we've thought about taxes and wanted to share with y'all. And I hope y'all found this helpful. If y'all have any questions, feel free to email us. comment down below. Find us on Facebook. And as always, until our next video, peace, love, and expediting.